Make prison hard again. Take away the TVs and all the electricity. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, prison is hard without the TVs. I mean, with the TV still, because it depends on what kind of person you are. If you if you go in there and you're still living like a shitball, like if you was stealing and all that off, if you go in there doing that, you're gonna have a rough time. Trust me. Them motherfuckers, they every day is like a nightmare to them. They be owing people. They have whole gangs after them. Yeah, like they'll call a chow call. Everybody's coming out their cell for chow, and they're fucking pretending to be asleep in the cell. I'm trust me, they be getting their punishments. But if you got somebody like really trying to change their ways, going to classes, usually they're gonna build stuff up. The inmates to have TVs. They don't usually have TVs and stuff like that because they're always selling their stuff for like drugs and stuff. They do have them. What did somebody say they didn't have Xboxes? It depends on what prison you're at. Some prisons they have TV. Some prisons they don't. Some prisons they have game systems. Like when I went to the prison in Hagerstown, there was a guy that had a PlayStation 2 in there, and like he sold it to my cellie, and I got pissed off because my cellie sold it, and that was the only PlayStation in the whole building. Everybody else had Xbox 360s because you can only buy what's in the catalog. It's a book. Like they got headphones, Xboxes, TVs. Matter of fact, like this. This is the kind of TV they have in there. This little TV right here is like fucking. This little TV right here is like $250. I'm not even joking. This is like a big screen TV in there. Yeah, if you don't have a GED, they try to they sign you up automatically. Well, at least this is what they do down here. Some prisons might be different, but down here in Maryland, if you don't have your GED, they sign you up for GED classes, and you get time off your sentences for going. So why wouldn't you go? Like, so, yo, I'm not gonna lie. These TVs, they only get like 13 channels. I'm serious. You got the news on like 5 channels, and then the prisons got like a special channel where they be playing movies and stuff, but they play like one movie every 2 weeks. They don't keep up to date with it. Then you got what's that one channel? CW where like Family Guy comes on. FX. That's what it is. FX. In the Feds, GED can lower your classification. Oh, I didn't know that. Look like a sideline. I read that. Yeah, I mean, it's all up to. I mean, if you feel like criminals don't deserve anything, I mean, you're right because you're supposed to be getting punished. But I'm telling you, everybody in there is miserable. Miserable as hell. So that's one thing you ain't got to worry about. They are miserable. But like some prisons, they take it too far. Like I did a review on a documentary yesterday, Red Onion. It's a maximum secure prison in Virginia, and like they take it too far. They be torturing inmates in there. Like you got several cases where like guards are going in the inmates' rooms and like just fucking them up. Killing inmates. Yeah, they're locked down for 23 hours a day. And this is every day. At a normal prison, like you might be locked down for 23 hours if like somebody got stabbed or something and the compounds are locked down. But this prison, a maximum security prison, you're locked down every day. It's normal. Like anytime you're out your cell, you got to be handcuffed. Your job is show them you are. See, that's the thing about it. They don't try to like you would think. Like if somebody got caught stealing, that they would go to prison and they would try to teach them a trade or something like welding or breaking up houses or something like that. They don't do nothing. They leave them in the cell all day. And that only thing that does is make people pissed off. Imagine you're in the cell all freaking day, and your family, you barely get to talk to your family, and you get treated like shit. You're going to start to resent people, and just going to make you even more a monster. Those are people that be on the edge, that be catching stabbings and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's kind of like if you go to if you go to a jail or prison, until you go to classification, well, not a jail but a prison, until you go to what's it called? I guess it is called classification. Until you go see them, you're locked down. They called it quarantine up here, because of COVID-19. You stay in your cell all day. They had a phone. It's like a phone. You know the small phones they have in prison, but this one was on wheels. It was connected to like a metal beam, and it was connected to I don't know what you would call it, like a little fucking look like a skateboard or whatever, and they would just pull it up and down the tier, and that's how they would give you your phone calls. You weren't allowed out of that room. As a matter of fact, I remember when it was COVID-19 was bad, and I was in jail. Man, they came in there one day, and it was like they told everybody lock down, and we went locked down. We thought it was, we were just locked down for like a couple of days. They left us in there for like fucking 30 days. They didn't let us out for 30 days. We couldn't take a shower. We had if we wanted to, bathe, we had to do it in the sink. I had to put up a sheet and tell my cellie, I'm like, hey, I'm washing my ass over here. I put up a sheet and take water out of the sink like a bird bath. That's what they call it, a bird bath. Teach you. I ain't gonna lie, it taught me a lesson. It did. I ain't gonna lie. Man, I was like, fuck, man. I will get out and I will do the right thing. Get me the fuck out of here. I ain't gonna lie, it changed me. A lot of people told me that too. They were like, man, they would tell me, they'd be like, yeah, so and so, he was running wild until he got locked up. Now, he's good now. Yeah, it would change you. I ain't gonna lie. Man, I ain't gonna lie. If you knew what the fuck they fed people in there, I'm telling you, the food in there is horrible as crap. Like it's one of them things where like you get the meal and you're like, what the fuck is this? And you just throw it back out. You got sometimes they would serve meals and everybody would just slide their tray out because it was so disgusting. Like they had this one thing, it was meat rock. And I hated it. I done said it a million times on my stream. I hated this thing. It's just like a big, it looks like a big meatball and it's disgusting. It's not real meat. It's like some fucking plant shit. Then they got some rice with vegetables. That was not nasty. You know. Shit, what else did they have? It's been a while, so they had a tray for lunch. It was like three little meatballs, and it had gravy on top of it. That was disgusting too. I remember that. But every prison you go to is gonna be different. They have different people that do the food for each prison. So you might go to one prison, you might be eating good as shit. You go to another prison and you're just eating horrible. Some are decent folks, bro. Yeah, I mean, you got everybody makes mistakes. I ain't gonna lie, everybody makes mistakes. You're a lie if you think you haven't done nothing wrong in your life. Some people just take it a little too far. When I was in jail and prison, it's not monsters in there. It's not a whole bunch of people with face tattoos. They look like your next door neighbor. They're just regular people that just got caught up in some bad things. Not everybody's in there for murder. Some people can be in there for child support. They got behind on child support. Just anything, tickets, anything, man. You know, that's the thing about it. Somebody, you can get into an argument with your girlfriend. She get mad at you and say go down to the police station and say that you accuse you of something, accuse you of hitting her or anything, and they're gonna come and lock you up, and you got to prove that you didn't do it. Like I did an interview with somebody that got accused of what did he get accused of? Kidnapping, something, kidnapping or something, and they came and locked him up, and I did an interview. It's on my page. Oh yeah, the beef stroganoff. Yeah, that shit's nasty. And now I ain't gonna lie though, you got some people that belong in prison. Cause I done seen some people like they are fucking crazy. Like you wouldn't want to sleep next to this person. You wouldn't want to like be in a cell with him. I'm telling you. You got some people in there that enjoy hurting people, and like they become somewhat. I think you would call them like a hitman or something. You people in there, they got hustles, and these kind of people, they will offer their services of hurting people. They'll be like, "Hey, you need him hurt? Pay me, and I'll go do it." You got people like that in there. Yeah, you sit in jail to until you're convicted. You could be innocent, guilty until you're convicted. When you're convicted, then you go to prison. But even then, there's some people that are wrongly convicted. There really are. I know you go to prison and you ask everybody what like everybody say I didn't do it. I'm innocent. Everybody says that. I ain't gonna lie, everybody says that. Yeah, man, that sucks though. I wanted to do that interview. I thought the guy that I was talking to on Instagram, I thought it was like he was in prison and he had a cell phone. Cause I did a couple of interviews with people that had cell phones. If you followed my channel, then I did a couple of interviews with people on cell phones. And turns out the whole time I'm not even talking to him. I was talking to one of his family members, you know, because they told me they were like, we sent him the link. I was like, you send it to him. Does he got a phone in there? They're like, no, he's got a tablet. I'm like, he's got a tablet. You talking about the prison tablet? You can't get on YouTube on that. And they're like, oh, you can't? I was like, no. And I done made a thumbnail, made questions and all everything. You shouldn't have good food in prison. You want to eat good food, then get a job, stay out of prison, be a real man. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. You go to prison, you gotta deal with the consequences. That's what they tell a lot of people in there. They're like, you know what, prison and jail is not meant to be comfortable. If you don't want to be here, stay your ass home. That's what they say. That's what other inmates say in there. And they're right. Because I think, jail is a place where it can slow you down. It can save your life. It really can. Everybody despises jail, but it can really save your life. If you're out here, you're hooked on drugs really bad and stuff, it will get you away from that stuff and slow you down. It might save your life. Really might. Because I had a couple of friends in there, and I'm not even kidding you. They got released. And one of my friends, I found out a week later that he died. He overdosed. I asked somebody, I was like, he overdosed? What do you mean? They were like, as soon as he got out, the whole time he was locked up, he never said nothing about no drugs or nothing. He wasn't doing drugs in there. And when he got out, they said they found him in the bathroom and he was all bloated up, blue in the face, and he was, I guess, was the Fetty, I guess. Might as well keep them inmates healthy. Where you see the big inmates, the healthy inmates, they eat in commissary, and that's because their family sends the money in there or they got money, you know. If you're just eating trays, you're not gonna get that big off of trays. Cause the trays couldn't fill up like a 5-year old. I'm telling you. They give you a little scoop of something and like they'll give you one meatball or whatever. Like for lunch, sometimes we have hot dogs. They give you two little ass hot dogs, and that's basically it. You know, you might have peanut butter and jelly, and the peanut butter. I don't know what the fuck they put in this shit, but the peanut butter, you know. It's disgusting. In commissary, see, you can't do that because if you end everything, COs, correctional officers, they got to work in there. If an inmate is that miserable and they ain't got nothing to look forward to, what's going to stop them from like being Have? What reward do they have for like stopping and doing the right thing? They don't have a reward. Like it's a difference between torture and being in prison, jail. It's two different things. Now I could probably understand that for like if somebody like killed one of my family members or something, then I would want the worst for them. I really would. But for like somebody with some petty crimes or something, they got caught stealing, you're gonna torture them? Why? Makes no sense. They'll probably get out and be pissed off. Those are the people that turn into, what they call it, um, against the government and stuff. Yeah, because they get treated so bad in prison and jail, they get out, and that's how they see the law their whole life. You're gonna turn them into that. You lost your freedom, your rights when you go to prison. Yeah, I mean, when you go to prison, you don't have any rights. Every you Somebody has to tell you when to take a shower, when you can come out and watch TV, when you go outside. You get told all that. You don't have any rights when you go to prison. That's already, you know what I'm saying? Hell, it seemed like some of y'all just want to like torture people, like keep them in like the hole for years. But I'm telling you that like mess somebody up. If you're trying to get people to change, you don't want to do that kind of damage to them. Then they'll just end up hating everybody. Leave a router case. I might search that up. I like doing videos on some of the crazier cases. I haven't done as many as I like to, but I did one video on a guy that was about to get out of prison. He did his whole bid. He did years in prison, and his last day, his cell buddy killed him. I guess because he was jealous. I don't know why. It could have been anything. Because if you're in a cell with somebody that's got life or it's got like 60 years and you're in there, the only thing I can think of is he was in there and he was probably like just like bragging about him getting out. You know, he probably had enough of his celly. He was like, "Yeah, that's why you're gonna be here for the rest of your life or something." I'm just guessing. I don't know, but to make somebody want to attack you and kill you, you had to say something like that. Since when do we adults need a reward to behave and not commit crimes that are legal and moral against other human? I mean, I don't think you need. I wasn't trying to say that. I was just trying to say like somebody said, put somebody in prison and strip them away. Don't give them anything. Don't give them commissary. Basically, keep them in the cell all day. Like, like do the worst. And what I'm saying is, if you do that to somebody, they have nothing to look forward to. They're going to end up hating the system, and that's like the opposite of what you want. Jail. I think jail is worse than prison because in jail, it's a stressful time, and you're always in your cell in jail. You get to come out for rec, but it's boring in there. Like it's really boring. The commissary sucks. You might have like 4 tablets. At least down here, we didn't see when I went to prison. Everybody got their own tablet, but when I was in jail, the whole tier had to share like 4 tablets. So it's more comfortable when you get to prison because you also get to have a TV in your cell. In jail, you didn't have all that. The only time you get to watch TV is when you go out there into the pod, and there's only 2 TVs, so it's always on the news and sports. And plus, in prison, you got more opportunity to do stuff. Like they do have some programs. They got like when I was in there, I was in shop class, and basically, I was learning how to brick up stuff. But I think they should let everybody do it because I had to be on a waiting list for like 8 months before I got a chance to even do it. I had to wait 8 months because the class can only hold like 8 inmates, and you got like 5,000 inmates on the compound. But someday when they get out, oh, they may. Yeah, that's the thing. They may be your neighbor when they get out. You know, you hear about people that getting out and come right straight back. I think we should be able to teach them a new trade or something in there where they ain't got to do that crap. But if you're in there and you're just torturing them, of course they're gonna hate the system. They ain't gonna care about nothing. I heard that Fed time was worse than state time. I did hear that because it's like you would think it was the same because prison is prison, but it's totally different. The way that the inmates act and everything, even the gangs, they got cars, and it's where you're from. See, in state prison, you got gangs like you got the Crips, the Bloods, and down here, if you're from Baltimore, you're BGF. But when you go to Fez, this is what I hear because I've never been, but this is what I hear. It's where you're from. You know, it's because they have it easy, make it harder. They won't want to go if you know you won't be fed or protected in prison. Would you go? I don't know. I see. I don't know about that because I'm telling you, prison people die in prison. Like seriously, like look up right now how many people died in prison in the USA. I guarantee you it's a lot. Like prison is a dangerous ass place already. Like when I was in prison, I seen, I'm not gonna say I was doing it, but people were extorting people, running in people's cells. Imagine you're in a small little cell and you got 7 inmates running in your cell to rob you. And if you don't give them what they want, they might have a weapon and they gonna stick you with it. That shit happens every day in there. Every day. Fucking prison's terrifying, yo. That's why I like to put out my stories to because a lot of people that never been to prison and jail, they don't know what it's like. They just see what they see on TV. But I'm telling you, TV is different. Actually living there is different. Way different. It's a miserable place already. So no one can recruit no one in prison rather than grouping up and creating gangs. But see that people they don't go in there and create gangs. The gangs are already on the streets. Like when you get in there, you're gonna have people coming in that's what's on the gang on the street already. And like I don't know, you're never gonna stop like contraband. That's never gonna stop. Especially, the main way of them getting contraband in it is the COs because it's a lot of money. Like I'll give you an example. A Suboxone strip. Would they be giving people to get off opiates here on the streets? If you go to a clinic or whatever, a treatment center, you can get this thing called Suboxone. It kills the cravings. But in prison, they sneak it in there because it's so small. And on the streets, it might go for like $5. In there, I seen them go for like $300. So it's like a money thing. So when you got that much money getting created in prison in jail, and you can offer a CO a couple $1,000 because they don't get paid a lot. You would think that correction officers get paid a lot. They don't. So when they got an inmate coming to them offering them fucking what they make in 5 months, just to drop off one thing, they're gonna fucking do it half the time. That's why you see so many COs getting jammed up. It's a lot of money. I was in a cell with a BGF member, and he was selling, Suboxone and K2. He showed me what he had on his Cash App. Like he showed me, and I'm just gonna say it was a lot of money. A lot of money. I'm talking about life changing money. I'm talking about like $70,000. what he had made while he's been locked up. You know, so every he making more money in there than people are making on their normal jobs out here. That's how crazy it is. You know, like he just got released. Not too long after I got released, and I talked to him on the phone. Man, he's living it up. you know, yeah, but guards, they're people just like inmates. They be making mistakes sometimes. I mean, I seen some good some good correctional officers that actually help people and stuff. But then you got some they're assholes, and then you got some that will bring in the pack. They will bring it in. Hell, you got some correctional officers that are gang members themselves. We had this one lady up here, right? She come in there, she had red dye in her hair and everything. Yo, come to find out, she was a blood. She every time she's working in the bubble, she's letting the blood members do whatever the hell they want to do. She's dating the blood that ran the whole compound. He was dating her like a secret relationship. Cause if the prison finds out, they both he's getting shipped off and she's getting fired. But ain't nobody going to tell on him. He's the head leader of the Bloods. And if you know anything about prison, they be deep as hell. And every prison they at, they deep as shit. And if they find out that you ran your mouth, I'm telling you, you're gonna have a fucking bad stay. I'm not talking about they're gonna run and harm you one time. No, for the rest of your time there, they are gonna terrorize you. You might not even make it home. I heard about one prison. I think it was in Alabama, or it was in one of these places. I think it was in Alabama, and like I think it was the same prison like where Jay-Z and all them they were trying to like bring awareness to the prison because it was so bad. Like you had old guys that had to go get their insulin shot because they're diabetic, and they weren't even letting them go do that. People were dying. The cells were flooded. It was bad. The pipes and the stuff, the sewage, all that was rusted. Don't matter how deep. Don't matter how deep you be. The feds break them up like how they we go the mafia, Mexican mafia. I gotta look into that. I ain't never heard of that. God, where the fuck is all these things coming from? Yeah, but I don't have any interview scheduled right now. I'm trying to find one. If at the beginning of the stream, I did uh let out an announcement. If you didn't hear it, Tuesday I'm gonna be interviewing Jay Williams. If you don't know who Jay Williams is, he's one of the top prison creators on YouTube. I did an interview with him. A lot of people found me through him. He's gonna let me interview him Tuesday night. So if you guys got some questions you want me to ask them, if you ever want to ask Jay Williams anything, anything about a story he told, or if you want to know how his life is today, let me know and I will ask him the question. Matter of fact, I'm gonna make a post about it, and you'll probably see it if you're subscribed to me, you'll see it, and you just put it in the comment, and I'll write it down. And matter of fact, this is what I'll do. If you ask me a question to ask Jay Williams, I'll be like, "So Jay, I got a subscriber that wants to know," and I'll say your name, and I'll be like, "I'll say your question." I'll do that. Oh, Big Herc. Yeah, I seen that guy. You talking about the bald headed black guy from California? I tried to collaborate with him. He he reached out to me and he said he was gonna check out my channel, but he never people up that like he's kind of like semi famous. I think so. He probably forgot. I don't know. That's why you better off acting right and getting that GED, do good, get released early. Yeah. I didn't have to get my GED because when I was on probation when I was younger, when I got in trouble before I was just going to jail back and forth. The judge made me go back and get my GED. I had to go to classes outside, you know. And if I didn't get my GED, then he was gonna violate me. That was like I had to get my GED to pass probation or whatever. I would get sent back to jail if I didn't get it. And that helped me. Yeah, they sometimes they do take away the weights. See, when you go out for the yard, they had two sections up here. They had the big yard, and then they had a little small little cage. Well, it's not like a cage, but it's like about the same size as a basketball court. They got weights in there, and they had like 5 COs. It would be extra COs watching in a little space. But on the big yard where everybody's out there on the running track or on playing basketball, you probably had like 4 COs at the front gate watching everything. But they really watch you if you're on them weights and stuff because they got some heavy weights in there, and people be using them as weapons. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I almost killed myself. I really did when I was lifting weights because I wasn't used to doing it, right? I work out and I just, do push-ups and stuff. I went to the weight pit this time, and I had this heavy, I don't know what they're called, but it was huge. It was heavy as hell. I couldn't barely lift it up. But I had it right in front of my face, and I was like on my back, and I was doing this because that's the kind of workout they were doing, right? Man, I almost lost control of that thing and almost hit me in the face. Man, I would have died if that happened. We took away weights because inmates were getting too big. I ain't heard of that. They took them away because inmates were getting too big. You sure they didn't take them away because of something else? That's kind of I don't know about that. I couldn't imagine the jail staff being like, "Oh, we gotta take away them weights. These inmates are getting way too big." We had this one guy on the compound, and you know that guy Big Hurt. He was just as big as that guy. Like he was big as hell. Nobody fucked with this guy at all. Yeah, I don't know much about the feds. I just know what people tell me. Like I interviewed a lot of people that been to the feds, and they all say the same thing. You know, they say the difference is the gangs. Like if you're from Louisiana, you're gonna have a Louisiana car where it's just y'all gonna look after each other. You might have a Maryland car. It goes by that where you're from. But see, I couldn't imagine that because whenever I went to prison, it was just the gangs. And I couldn't imagine like I don't know, that'd be getting crazy though, because what if you got bloods that are from like Maryland and you got bloods from like New York? Like are they gonna be at odds or something? I don't know. I gotta ask somebody about that. Cause if it goes by your place and you got different gang members and different cars, I don't know. I don't know how that works. Big Herc interviewed on his podcast a homie named Ghost. He brought up the Ninja Turtles, the gear we Spoon Squad. I don't know. Was that an episode? Let's check that out. I don't know. All I know is, prison. I think they need to do more, and they don't need to like torture people. I know that. You know, we're talking about the red onion, that kind of torture. Hell no. I think they need to give people more opportunity to change their lives. Not stick them in a cell for their time and just leave them there. Actually, teach them something. You know, have more chances of being successful. Because that's if you really think about it. Why do people go out and commit crimes in the first place? Just think about it. Like some of them don't have a way of getting money, and that's the only way they can see. They probably tried to get jobs, couldn't get jobs or whatever. So, they go to scamming, stealing, stuff like that. You know, some people aren't privileged like some of us. Some of y'all got good families. A lot of people don't. You know, imagine you imagine your mom's on drugs really bad. She's on crack or something. Your father ain't there for you. You're barely making it. You're on welfare. You rely on food stamps, but your mom is selling all the food stamps. So you got no money. You go to school, you're wearing bobos and fucking off-brand shit. You see everybody else wearing the good shit, and how's that gonna make you feel? You gonna want to come up and make some money, and you start listening to rappers, and the rappers are telling everybody, you know, sell drugs and stuff, and if somebody fucks with you, you can go catch a hat. I mean, then you wonder why. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with way people, the way people come up. I really do, because I know if I had a good family where I didn't have to worry about money or nothing, I wouldn't be out there doing that. But some people have that, and they're just doing it just to look cool or whatever. You might have a spoiled little boy out there, you know, who just out there fucking just doing wild shit just for the hell of it because he's seen it on TV or he thinks it's cool. But then you got actual people. That's what they really got to do. And then you got to imagine, like what if you do have a father in your life, but you're watching him and he sells drugs or something. That's what you're gonna want to do, you know. I'm not gonna lie. When I was growing up, my mom was dating a crip, and every day, I would hear about that, and that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. Some people have dreams of having a nice job or whatever, but I was around that all the time growing up, and that's the only thing I knew. So that's what I wanted to be. I couldn't imagine, not being that. No, I'm not a gangbanger no more. I used to be. I'm not gonna lie, I used to be. I went to prison. I changed my ways. I'm not. I'm doing the family thing right now. I don't suggest nobody join a gang. If you ask me, I would tell you straight up, don't join a gang. I don't. You know, when you join a gang, you're just listening to another man, or you're becoming somebody's do boy, for real. Like somebody else's problems turn into your problems. You could die for somebody else's problems. What qualities do you look for in a man? Are you asking me? What qualities do I look for in a man? I don't know how you worded that. But if you go to prison or jail, it will. I do think it will teach you these things, and these are the core things to being a man: is discipline, having respect for yourself and others. You know, when something comes your way, you act like a man. You don't rely on others. You got to deal with it. You want to be the person where something happens in the house, everybody comes to you because they don't know what the fuck to do. You're the man in the house. That's what I think what a man having discipline. You got to have patience. A lot of us don't have patience, and that's why a lot of us end up in jail, not having patience, especially when you're dealing with other people. You know, you can have anger problems or something. You don't have the patience for somebody, or I don't know. I think that is wrong because how can someone put on a lifetime probation? I'm lost in the conversation. Let me go up a little bit. Bro, I never heard of a lifetime probation until I saw it on TV. A lifetime probation? I didn't know about that until now. Where a man got lifetime probation. That is like everybody I know tells me probation is a setup. That's just a way for, for them to catch you slipping and get sent to jail. Because you can do anything, you can jaywalk and you violate probation. I mean, it probably wouldn't do that, but you know what I'm saying? Any little law you break, you can be when you're on probation, you're not even allowed to be around certain people, you know? It's so easy to get to slip up on probation. So a lifetime of it, I can imagine. I think that is wrong because how can someone a lifetime probation when probation is supposed to be temporarily? Only that's why it's probation period, not permanent. Yeah, I agree with that. I smoked weed the whole time when I was a prison guard. It it worked out. Didn't drink too much. Hey, if you were a prison guard, man, I need to bring you on. That's one thing I haven't brought on a CO yet. That's why I'm really looking for somebody that was correctional officer to bring on for an interview. I think that'd be great because I'm trying to bring everybody from the prison system. Like I already had, I brought a tranny on, because you go to prison, you're gonna see those. Every prison you go to, you're gonna see those. Um, I had a couple gang members on. I had somebody that was a crip. I had a couple blood members on. I had I think that one guy was a like a Aaron Brotherhood. I think he was. He said he referred to himself as a Nazi, so I guess that's what he was. I even had a former drug kingpin, John Poet Thornton. Yeah. If you seen the movie Blow, the guy who Johnny Depp played, he was friends with him in real life. He sent me the pictures and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. Did you join a gang so that you could have a sense of belonging? I hope that don't sound rude. No, actually, it doesn't sound rude. I did, to be honest with you, because growing up, young people, that's all they want. They want to belong somewheres. You know, that's why they go to crowds and stuff. And that was I did join the gang for that, for a family, for a sense of belonging. I really did, because you got the older homies in there, and they're kind of like father figures. They're teaching you all this stuff, you know, that you probably ain't getting at the house and stuff. And that's where it all starts. That's where it all starts. And that's the thing about it. Like you that go to the streets looking for family, and anybody, a old head that's 40 years old, he might be dumb as hell. He might be living his life wrong, but to that young person, you know, he don't know any better. He's following everything he says. House eggs. I don't know who John Pork is. I smoked weed the whole time when I was a prison guard and worked out much. Big Mitch, I mean. Yeah, but yeah, if I would have had a good, role model at the house, I probably wouldn't have joined the gang. Cause that's really what drove me to it. Just being a part of something. Because when you're by yourself, you don't have any guidance from anybody else. And then, you see your friends or whatever, and they're in gangs. They're always hanging out. They always having fun. You know, you start hanging with them every day, and you feel like that's your family, and that's how it was. That's the new way to keep you in mental lockdown. Let you, let you home, but also. Never be free. They watch you till you die. I hope that's not the new way. I really do, because that would suck. Having people on probation for the rest of their life or like home detention like that, that would suck. I ain't gonna lie. Did you get jumped in the game? Yeah, I got jumped in the game. I everything. I've been DP'd, everything. And all I'm gonna tell you, and it's not worth it. It wasn't worth it then, and it's not worth it now. Cause like say you're growing up and you have jobs, right? You learn trades and stuff throughout your whole life. You can look back and remember they might come handy later in life. Being a gang member does not come in handy later in life. I can't be like, hey, I jumped this guy fucking a couple years ago, or we extorted him a couple years ago. Like, what the hell? You can't use that for nothing. It doesn't help you in life. It don't really doesn't. And the same people that I was trying to impress when I got locked up, they weren't even there for me. You know, they really weren't. The only people that I call that would answer the phone was my family. I'm not even shitting you. That's the only people. All my homies, everything, they stopped answering the phone. They might answer the phone for like the first week. You know, the first week you're in jail, they'll answer the phone. But after years or months, man, they forget about you. Yep. If you slip up one time, you get yanked back to prison. That's why time probation, wrong friend. That's the first time I'm hearing about it. I gotta look that up. I got a whole bunch of do rags. I don't know what you talking about. So don't mess with me, yo. I got a whole bunch of do rags. But out of here. That's one thing. I'm not a dirty person. I'll tell you that. Ain't nothing stink on me. They forgot about you that quick. Damn, ain't no point of calling it a game. Yeah, it really is. When you go to prison, you're going to see a whole lot of people that are in your gang, and you don't even know them. You gotta get used to them. You gotta talk to them and stuff. But while you're in there serving your time, like a situation could happen in another building that has nothing to do with you, but somebody in your gang it has something to do with them. So that puts you in it. You could end up losing your life over something like that. Because somebody owed somebody a honey bun or a couple of noodles. It could start a war in there. It's crazy. That's why I say like I don't I wouldn't tell anybody to join a gang. But that's the thing about it. When you go to prison, there's a lot of people that try to join a gang because for protection and stuff, or either protection or they want to be a part of something. And because if you're not in a gang, uh, and like you're in there and you got stuff, say you got like a TV or you're trying to sell contraband or something like that, gangs, they will feed on you. You will be food to them if you don't carry yourself like a man. And you don't have any respect. I seen a couple of times where some gangs they got together, because you got the head person of the gang. He's got money. He ain't even got to do nothing. He gets free money. If you're the head person of an organization in prison, you don't have to do anything and give you fucking money. People on the outside, people on the inside, they're set for life. Then you got like officers and stuff, people that are in charge of like buildings and pods. They're usually selling contraband, selling drugs and stuff like that. They got money. Then at the very bottom, you got the soldiers, and they feed off of everybody else, but they don't have their own. Some of them don't have their own shit going on, you know, but they'll get together and they'll see people that have shit going on, and if they ain't in the gang, that gives them the green light to do whatever they want. If it's another gang member, say you got like five Crips, and they see a blood that has a lot of shit, they can't. Well, they could just go attack him and take a shit, but most of the time in prison, you got before you attack another gang member like that, different organization, you got to go. You got to get it approved. Because it could start a gang war. You can't just go do shit on your own like that. But like people that are not in gangs, most of the time they can just do whatever they want, and it doesn't. So like that's why a lot of people feel like they have to join a gang in there. There's a super max in Colorado known as set for life when the FBI bust them. No, I'm talking about the people who run the organizations in prison. Like I say that because when I was in prison, we had the guy who ran the compound for the Crips. His name was EA. And I'm telling you, he didn't have to do nothing. Like he had people on the outside sending him money in. People I don't how like if you're in a if you're working, you got some people that suck up to the boss. It's kind of like that for the gang. You got like people in the gang that have motion and they just give free shit to the person who's in charge. Or you got people on the outside that's got money coming in and they trying to look out for him, because they feel like looking out for him is looking out for the whole gang because he's like the head leader of it. So they really ain't got to do nothing. Like that guy, he had everything. I went into his cell one day, right? It didn't even look like a cell. It looked like an apartment. Like I'm not even joking with you. He had TVs stacked up. He had fucking rugs in there. He had satin sheets. It didn't even look like cause I think he's got life. Yeah, I think he had a lot of time. He wasn't ever getting out. No, that's the thing of no, you're not getting it though. You're not getting it. They know. They work when you're in prison, the prison staff, they work with the gang leaders. They work with them. Like, okay, we be in our cells and they might have an incident where they know like the Crips are about to go to war with the Bloods. So they'll call the head leaders, Intel, they're called Intel. They will call the head leaders of the Bloods and the Crips. They will let them out of their cells and walk them to a meeting room and they'll sit down with them and try to end it peacefully. Like they go through the gang leaders. They don't go through nobody else. They talk to the gang leaders, and the gang leaders talk to their gang. That's how it runs in prison. At least down here, the prison I was at. That's how it ran. They like I remember one day I was just coming in, and I said this in my story, but I was in quarantine. I just got to this prison. I was in RCI, and I met another homie. His name was Big 30. It's not Big 30 the rapper. He had the name. I don't know. You're gonna see a lot of people in prison with rapper names. Don't ask me why. But anyways, we were in the same pod as the Crip who ran the compound. And after a couple of weeks, he came to our cell door and he was like, "Look, I need for both of y'all to move down to building one." And we're like, "Oh, what's up?" He was like, "The Crip that is in charge of building one, he moved in with a blood member, and basically they I don't know if he's scared of him or what, but he's basically, like a little puppeteer. He's doing whatever the blood member wants because, he's got age on him and he's just finessing them. I don't know if he's scared of him or what. But, anyways, he said he making us look bad. And I talked to Intel. I'm going to get him moved to building 3. And when he gets down there, he's going to get chopped up. Big 30, you're going to take over down there. And crime, you're going to watch his back. And anything he needs, you're going to do. Yeah, but they go through Intel. Intel goes through them. A Crip and Blood. What? When I was in prison, I was with the Crips, and we had an incident in there where there was a Crip that was running Building 1, and the Crip that was in charge of the whole compound came to me and my cellie, who was also a Crip. He said that the Crip in Building 1, who was running the Crip in Building 1, who was in the cell with a Blood. The blood was basically using them, like because that crip he was in charge of other crips, but he was like I don't know how you would say it, like just not like puppeteering them. Anything he wanted, he was doing it. Basically, the crips were moving like bloods in there because whatever the blood said, they were gonna do it. You even had a crip. This what set it all off. There was another crip in there that he didn't like the way shit was going, so he was talking shit to the blood member, the blood that had the building. Man, they ran in his room and chopped him up. And the crip that was that was running that on building one, he let it all happen. He didn't stop it. He didn't say nothing because he was in the cell with the blood guy. So that's why he got him out of there and he got chopped up. And Big 30 went down there. I did a story. It sounds confusing. It really does. But I did a story on my page. I forgot what it's called, but it's I explained it a little bit better when I did the story. Boy, this is jail or prison. You already considered a criminal, so you best uh, act right. Stop plotting gang wars. I don't know. That's crazy. They used to push NBA. No bloods allowed. Crips getting watered down in Maryland. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I heard about that. I did a story on my page. Like, if you ain't seen it, you gotta check it out. NBA is we're not talking about the basketball. We're not talking about NBA young boy. Down here in Maryland and Baltimore, I don't know exactly how it got started. I think I forgot. Somebody told me that the Muslims had started it at first, but then the BGF started enforcing it. And basically, it means no bloods allowed. Anytime a blood came on the compound or the jail, they had to get out. They couldn't sell nothing. They couldn't make no money because the BGF was enforcing it. Because at the time, the BGF in Baltimore, if you're from Baltimore, you're gonna be BGF. Like everybody from Baltimore that comes down here to Maryland, the prison, they're BGF most of the time. Black Gorilla Family. They ran the whole jail. Like it's in news articles and you can look it up. Look it up on the news right now. Look at Google it. And they had COs on the payroll. They had some COs. Matter of fact, the guy who ran BGF at the compound at the jail, he got two girl COs pregnant. You know what I'm saying? He got two of them pregnant. It was crazy. It's true that you're not in gang fully. And is it true that you're not in gang fully into it? You get put on once you get out. Um, if you're not in the gang fully, I don't know about that. Either I don't know what you're trying to say, but if you're in the gang, it depends on where you're at. Sometimes you can be like, "Hey, I'm not doing this no more," and it's cool. But sometimes there's repercussions. Sometimes they gonna beat you out, and sometimes I see. That's why I see a lot of people and they're in prison. They'll become Muslim. They'll try to use that as a protection because down here Muslims they'll let anybody in. Not a bad thing, but they feel like it's a religion, so they want to protect everybody. And if you drop out of your gang, you go and talk to them, tell them, hey, I want to join because I believe in the cause. It's my religion. They'll let you in. But if you go to them and you're like, hey, I'm scared, I need y'all protection, then they're probably not going to let you in. But they can stop you from getting your ass chopped up. I've seen that happen many a times. They got their leader. I think it's their leader. He's usually called the E Man or something like that. I've seen him stop a whole bunch of like Crips and Bloods that wanted to go after ex gang members. He stopped it because they was deep. I ain't gonna lie, they be deep down here. Some of them be old people and stuff. You could tell if something happens, they ain't. Some of them ain't gonna do something, but some of them it's really like that. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, Baltimore City got Crips and Bloods for sure. They do. I got a couple homies down there. Showtime. Matter of fact, my celly that I was in the cell with when I was locked up, his name was Bones. Best celly I ever had. Man, when I was in the cell with this guy, it was like being in the cell with my brother. Like we make hookups and shit. We make cakes and shit. Like we would have fun. Like we watch movies off the tablet, and we just have fun in there. Anyways, when he when I started doing this YouTube stuff, he got out too. You know, he's in Baltimore. I'm up here in Cumberland. And I talked to him on the phone. And I told him, I was like, hey man, did you check out my video I did? Or did you check out any of my videos I did on my YouTube? He's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. He was like, you got a lot of people down here mad at you. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, the BGF, they trying to say that, you make us look bad in every video you do. And I ain't gonna lie, they was the bad guys in some of my videos. That's because though, in my stories, I tell the truth about what happened. And I can't change because like the BGF were the man, they were stomping people out. So in my stories, I say that because that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? But they said I was making them look bad. But that's what really happened. I try to make my stories honest, you know, as I can. The only thing that I don't put in there sometimes is people's names because that could come back and bite me in the ass. Putting people's real names. I'll put their nicknames in there if they got like a nickname or something. But I ain't trying to put nobody's real name in there and stuff. Yeah, respect Anthony. Are you talking about the title for this right here? Well, this was supposed to be a interview. I was talking to this dude that he was still in jail, and I was supposed to interview him. And at the last minute, his family. The whole time I found out I was talking to his family. I wasn't even talking to him, and the whole time he don't even have a cell phone in there. He got a tablet, a prison tablet. As soon as his family said that, they said, we sent him the link to join your live. I said, okay, you sent it to his cell phone? They said, no, we sent it to his tablet. And the first thing that pops in my head, I'm like, man, they better not be talking about no prison tablet. Because I know if you've been to prison, you know that on the tablets, you cannot go online. You can't get on no YouTube. So I'm like, damn, he ain't gonna be able to do no fucking interview. And I appreciate it, Anthony. Yeah, I got prison stories of my time in prison, and I be, trying to put out some tips and stuff about how to survive jail. But I also got interviews. And I become like over the last couple of weeks, I kind of like doing the interviews more than anything because I'm telling other people's stories. Like, I interview people and I feel like they could be having crazy ass stories. And when people hear this, they can take a message from it. And they're not going to repeat the mistakes that we did. So I feel like I'm doing a little bit of good when I'm doing that. So I like doing it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Welcome to the family, man. Welcome. But yeah, I need some ideas about some videos. Yo, I got this one video, right? I know my channel is like a prison channel. I'll be talking about crime, jail stuff, but sometimes like I'll be wanting to share some things, but I don't. But it don't be about prison. And I'm like, damn, I can't put this on my channel. But like I like this one TV show that had it's called The Boys, and I wanted to do a review on it, but I'm like, damn, I shouldn't put it on my channel. What do you guys think? You guys think I should say fucking just put it on my channel or not? Like it don't work like that. It just needs to be print shit. Did you know a guy with the last name Shoemaker? Yeah. Hell yeah. Matter of fact, I had a friend growing up. His name was Justin Shoemaker, but I remember a couple Shoemakers in prison. Why is he from Maryland? If he's from Maryland, I might know. I don't know. It's such a small place. And like if you see any of my stories, you know how small of a city Maryland is. I got into it with somebody on the streets, And then basically he told me, he's like, next time I see you, it's on site, you know. So I already knew I was gonna have to, something was gonna happen. Man, a couple months passed, I ended up getting locked up. And as soon as I go in there, guess who the hell I see? The fucking dude. I'm like, man, what the hell? What are the chances of this shit? Yeah, that's the first story I told on my channel. It was about a food stamp card, you know. I done told it multiple times, but it's so crazy. That whole situation's crazy because it teaches you. Like, when I first got to jail, man, I got played by a whole nother gang. The BGF set me up to take out, the Crips. Because I was part of the Crips and I had beef with another Crip. So the BGF used that to their advantage and got me to crash out. And by me crashing out, I took all the Crips off the pod and I did what they wanted me to do. And I was so stupid, I didn't know about this. That's why, like, jail's a whole different world. The whole time you playing checkers, man, they playing chess. I'm telling you, they playing chess. That's all they do is fucking sit in rooms and read psychological books and shit. And you think you gonna outsmart some of these people? Hell no. They know mind games on top of mind games. They are so good. I seen some of these people, some of these inmates, they will have like 7 girls. They be calling 7 girls. And they're each sending them fucking their whole paychecks in there. They're living it up. I'm like, damn, you like to me, I'm thinking if you become an inmate, you become just another bill. You call home to your family and you're just asking for stuff. You can't get no money. What do you get paid, like 20 cents? When I got to prison, my pay was like every month I got like it was like $21. And that's for, cleaning up the tier and all that. That's the pay for the whole month. $21. Man, it's your channel, homie. I mean, I'm a big fan of the boys as well. Yeah, see, I love that show, right? And it pissed me off, man, because before I got locked up, I was watching it, right? I was like, damn, this is a good ass show. I'm like, damn, this is just as good as Game of Thrones, you know what I'm saying? And then you know how they did Game of Thrones, they just messed that up. You don't get too many good shows that are like really good. But the boys, I was really into that show, man. Cause especially like Homelander, like having an evil Superman, man, just think of it. Every time he was on the screen, you know something was about to happen. Man, that the way they ended that, man, that pissed me off to the max. They had him crying and he offered to suck off Butcher and stuff. I was like, what the fuck? His name is Paul Shoemaker. Paul Shoemaker. I don't know. Where was he at the same prison I was at or something? That's jumpsuit, isn't it? JSP? I don't know. I'm lost. What you guys talking about? Jessup? Jumpsuit Pablo? You talking about the YouTuber? Yeah, there's a YouTuber named yes, he was at the same prison for 10. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Was he? Shit. If he was at the same prison, I might be able to contact him. But I know a lot of people don't, I've seen a lot of channels dislike some of his content. So, I don't know about that. I seen the one channel Texas, the one Texas guy who talks about Texas prisons and stuff. I seen a video and he was talking crap about that dude. He was going in on that guy. I was like, damn. Thanks for the membership, whoever purchased. Oh, that might have been How Mom. Yeah, if that was you, How Mom, thank you. If you did that. I didn't see it. What? Oh, you talking about the other day. Yeah, Texas Prison Stories. I love that show. Yo, I tried to try to get an interview with him, right? But I don't know if he didn't see it or whatever. But I'm still going. I'm gonna try to contact him again because I like some of his videos, you know. But I'm sitting there like, does he only do interviews for like people from Texas? Because it is a Texas channel. So I'm in Maryland, so I don't know if he will even mess with me. Crime Talk jumpsuit was not at the same as you. Oh, I could still ask them to do an interview. That'd be pretty cool. That should be one of my goals to get some of these other YouTubers that been to prison. Try to interview some of them. Oh yeah, that was Hound Mom. She's in the chat. Yeah, she's cool as hell for doing that. I ain't gonna lie. She done helped out the channel a lot. She did again. Thank you for that, Hound Mom. Yeah, it's like I ain't gonna lie. She built up this channel like for real. Yeah, she just gave all y'all membership to my channel. See, like right now, thank you for that, Hound Mom. We appreciate it. It's a blessing. But yeah, she cool as hell. I ain't gonna lie. But the for my membership, I'm gonna start putting out some membership videos. I didn't want to do it just yet until I got us some members because I was like, damn, I don't want to make a membership video and I didn't have that many members. But now I got quite a few, so I might start making some membership videos. But as a member, if you're a member and you have a question or you have a video idea, you know, we can do a video on it. Now, if you're just a regular person and you say you want, you give me video ideas, I'm probably not going to do it. But if you're a member, I'm technically more inclined to do it. Oh yeah, that's the little icons. I couldn't think of nothing, and that's the only things I had right there. So I don't know. You guys gotta give me some like ideas to like change them to the little icons, the membership icons. Tell me what you guys want. Hell yeah. I like to call it the C Pod family, not the crazy pod. It don't stand the C don't stand for crazy. It stands for crime talk. Yeah, but like if you go to jail and you're in the pod or you're in prison, you come out your cell, you're around the same people every day. You see the same faces. I feel like that's us. I come on here, we see the same people. We're kind of like a family. So that's where I'm going for with that. I would stick with the Maryland interviews. We need more love. Virginia and Texas already got so many. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Like I'm repping Maryland, and down here, my area. But I was saying like just to interview him because he's a popular YouTube channel, and I was just going to interview him just because of that. But yeah, you're right about that. Maybe I should interview more Maryland people. You know, that would be something. Because I ain't gonna lie, when I was on that Jay Williams podcast or in that interview, I had a lot of comments, and they were sitting there telling me they were like, "Thank you for repping Maryland. I'm from Maryland. That's cool as shit. We're from the same area. I'm from Maryland." They were so excited that I was putting on for Maryland prison system. I don't think that's something to be proud of. Don't get me wrong. I don't ever try, glorify prison. I try to share my stories so somebody can learn from my mistakes. You know, that's first of all. But yeah, it was cool though. Your videos are creative as your narrative stories, anime characters. Yeah, I was like that little character I have, that little blue guy. I made it up, right? And I was gonna do videos with that guy in it, but I was like, damn, people are gonna think like my stories are like cartoons or something like that. They ain't gonna watch it. So I started doing like the little AI stuff or whatever, because you can't find footage of prison, like the real life footage. Every time I use that, I got a warning from YouTube. They do not like prison footage at all. Man, all I did, I showed one video, and this is the only thing that I showed. A guy, he walked over a couple feet, and this guy was laying down. He picked him up and started like working out with him. He used him as like a weight. He was working out with him, and YouTube blocked that. I don't even know why. It was nothing wrong with it. They blocked it. And then like the people freaking out on the K2 and stuff, being zombies. Every time I uploaded one of those videos, man, YouTube they slapped me with a warning. And, I ain't trying to get too many of those warnings. So like using real footage from prison, I'm not doing that no more. Hell no. Yeah, welcome all the new members. Welcome. I usually try to get on around this time, around 6 o'clock Eastern time. It's usually when I do my interviews. Anytime that I'm about to do an interview, I usually tell that person, 6 o'clock Eastern time would be a good time to do the interview. So about this time is usually where we're on. Fine. All right, dude. Who went on? Hold on, Anthony. The only ones I can find are a few dudes who went on. You can barely find any information on Maryland prison system. That's gotta change. Yeah, you're right about that. There's another guy who does Maryland prison system. His name is damn, the Cuban assassin. Man, I want him to come on. I talked to him. I talked to him all this week, right? But he be so busy. He be so busy. Like, it's hard to like. I was supposed to do an interview with him, but he told me he was like, "Let me hype it up on my channel first, and then, you know, he be doing the professional boxing, and plus he be doing the YouTube stuff. So I'm trying to get him to come on. I'm gonna get him eventually because I felt bad because I made a post about it, and I felt like I got people hyped up, for it, and it didn't happen. Yeah, you guys need to all you members, you need to tell me what icons I need to change. Those are just random. I didn't know what to put on there. So, I put a couple of my old thumbnail characters. I just added them. But yeah, you guys give me some ideas and we'll make it work. That was much fun. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate every one of you guys for supporting me and coming to my streams and listening to my stories and stuff and giving me ideas about, future streams and stuff. I appreciate every one of you guys because I believe like our voice matters, because I feel like we're doing something good. We're not just making entertainment. We're like people can learn from the stuff that we talk about, the prison system, the stories we be saying. Yeah, I think we're going in a good direction with it. I feel proud. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and I ain't talked to my cousin in a long ass time. The last time I talked to him, we we were close growing up. Like I always like idolized this guy. Is my older cousin. I remember one time we were living in Rockville, Maryland, and we got into an argument because he was going with his friends somewhere and they wouldn't let me go. And this is back when Burger King was selling the Pokemon action figures or whatever. It came with like a Pokeball, and you open it up and it had like a golden heavy coin. Not a coin, but like a card. But it was like the only way I can describe it, you know how like the gold in Fort Knox, how heavy it is? It's like a gold shaped bar. That's what was in the Pokeball. But it was like a picture of Pikachu and shit, right? It was heavy as hell. I remember I was so mad at him. I had it in my hand and I threw it, and it hit him right here under his eye, and like busted this whole thing open. Right? I was scared as hell. He started running at me. I ran home. I got to the house, and his dad, my uncle, he wanted to whoop my ass, man. He was like, "You did that to my son? I'm gonna beat the shit out." But anyways, he's got a scar under his eye. This is my favorite cousin. And I'll be joking around for man all the time, be like, man, every time you look in the mirror, you gonna think of me, man. Yeah, but yeah, I try to be there for him. His wife just recently passed away. The his mother of his child, she had a brain aneurysm. One day they were in the living room, they were just talking, and out of nowheres, she starts seizing up, and she didn't make it. I went down there like a couple months ago and I visited them. So just hearing that, I'm like, damn, she died just like that. I was like, you can die like that? That's crazy. I try to be there for him because I know he's going through a hard time with that.
I used to stay with a girl in Rockville. We was right across from the MVA shopping center next to Exxon. Yeah, my grandmother, she ran a daycare service down there. And I remember it was down the street from like the metro station. Like it was a little bit farther down the street from the metro station. You had to keep going up, and it was like a big white house, and she always had this old Corvette sitting outside, and it had a sign and it had bears on it. And it was like something. It was, I forgot the name of it, but I remember growing up there. I think they sold it. I was in prison. And what did you do? I'm sorry. So I was in prison for a total probably about 8 years. Jail and prison. I was 8 years, and I was in there for first degree assault. But when I went to court, I got to drop down to second degree assault. And the difference between second degree assault and first degree assault is second degree assault is considered nonviolent. So I can earn good time. That's how I was able to get out so early. See, if I was in there on first degree assault and it was violent, you got to do most of your time. You can't just they make you do most of your time. I mean, yeah, I got tattoos. I see, I'm tattooed up, man. I ain't gonna lie, I'm tattooed up. Yeah, I got most of my I got a lot in prison, a lot of tattoos. I got a lot. I remember one time I paid this blood member. He came in my cell. He stayed in my cell overnight, and that's all he did is tattoo me all night. That's all he did. I didn't say it was good work. Some of it's, I need to get some switched up, but yeah. I've been out for about a year and 6 months, something like that. But I ain't gonna lie, when I first got released out them doors, it felt like I was being reborn again. Like that feeling, it's addictive, man. That feeling, I'm telling you, it's the best feeling in the world. Being stuck in there, and then that first time coming out after years, you, man, I'm telling you, that feeling right there, you'll never feel it again. Favorite prison tattoo, if you had one, uh, I like this little guy right here, the little fucking plankton. I thought it was cool because a dude in there, he just drew this shit up. He drew it up out of nowhere. So I was like, shit, is that plankton from SpongeBob? I thought that was pretty cool though. Yeah, but basically I be sharing my stories and things I seen so other people don't have to make the same mistakes I did. And a lot of people, they don't know what happens in prison. Prison's a whole different world in there. So I like to bring prison to the public, know what you're getting into. Cause a lot of people don't make it home. A lot of people die in there. And I also do interviews with people that did prison time. I'll bring them on. I'll ask them questions. I ask them regular questions like, "How was your childhood? What got you into the streets? How was your first day in prison? Did you regret anything? At one point did you learn your lesson? If you did, were you affiliated with a gang in there? I try not to be like super caught with it. I just want to like give people an idea of how their prison time was. You know what I'm saying? Like the interview, I like to make it all about them. So you're hearing their story, you know. Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, man, as soon as I seen that shit, I was like, man, you gotta put that shit on me. Cause look, I got a little theme, right? It's supposed to be like a ghost theme, right? Because you got the Boo Ghost from Mario. Then you got this little ghost from like fucking Pokemon or whatever. Then you got some other ghost shit. And the plankton in his hand, he's got like a fucking, where people put the cover over him to pretend to be ghost. He's got that in his hand, right? So he was pretending to be ghost. And on the other side, hold on, let me cover it up. I don't want to get in trouble. Oh, you got Velma. You know Scooby Doo?
Hold on. You got Thelma. I can't show what she's doing. I can't show y'all that, but that's Thelma from like Scooby Doo. You know, because it's a ghost theme. I thought it was cool as shit. He killed the plankton. That's dope. You would never catch a shop artist come up with something like yeah. That's the thing about it. Yeah, I appreciate that, Justine. I appreciate that. But yeah, like a lot of people, they just copying stuff out of a book. People in prison and jail, they actually got they thinking about this stuff. You know, and they come out with some dope stuff. Man, I tell you one tattoo I wish I would have got is a scream. I like a lot of horror, like Scream, Michael Myers and stuff like that. I wish I wanted to get a back piece like that. Hold on, cause hold on, let me. I think it's on this side. Like that's the only thing I got on my back is I wanted to like bring like a Scream or something, Michael Myers on my back. I thought that would have been cool, but I didn't get a chance to do it. You met any famous people, infamous prisoners? I met um I met a famous prisoner, Laurel X. He's a Baltimore rapper. He's at RCI. Um, he's got music videos on YouTube and all that. He's pretty mainstream, and he got locked up because basically, I think I think that they're BGF, Black Gorilla Family, but he was like being a drug kingpin. He was flooding the streets of Baltimore. So they locked him up and a whole bunch of his crew. And while he was in there, he's still running up. He's still making a lot of money. I talked to him. That's the only famous person I met in there. Would you make a video about medical care in prison? Yo, I never thought about that. That'd be cool. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. The medical care, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it sucks. Cause imagine you're like really sick, right? You're really sick, like you feel like you're dying. You go to the CO, you tell them, I need to go to I need to see somebody. Like if you're sick right now, you can get them go to the hospital. But if you're in prison, you go to the CO and you be like, I need to go see the nurse. I need to go talk to somebody. All then they tell you is go fill out a medical slip. So you're like, dang, I got time for that because if you go fill that thing out, it's going to take them 2 weeks for them to call your name. So you're arguing with the CO. They're not going to let you go see the nurse. The only way you can go see the nurse, you got to be like, oh, I got chest pain. That's a way that they have to let you go up there. If you say you got chest pain, you can't breathe, they have to let you go up there. But I remember I tried that one time, right? I forgot I think my eye was hurting or something. My eye was infected or something. I told them I had chest pain because they wouldn't let me go up there. Man, I got all the way up there, and I'm talking to the nurse, and I told her, the doctor, I'm like, yeah. She's like, What about your chest pain? I was like, yeah, but my eye is the real problem. They're like, oh, you're here for your eye, not your chest. And I was like, yeah. She was like, go back to your pod. Get out of here. They kicked me the fuck out. In my eyes, she could look at my eye and it was fucked up. She got mad because I didn't go through the medical slip. I made up some excuse to come up there. It just sucks. Check in. I don't know what you're talking about that. Have you ever met Charles Manson? Charles Manson? You talking about the famous dude with the cross on his head? Ain't he in like I only been in prisons up here. Ain't he in like he's dead now, I think. But he was at like some I forgot what prison he was at. He was at the same prison I was at. You a marked out buster. I guess you could say that. I'm a marked out buster, I guess. Shit, I'd rather be that and living fun, living good than be sitting my ass in prison. So you can say what you want to. I don't give a fuck.
C-Pod, what? C-Pod Crime Talk. Hell yeah. Any serial killers? Serial killers, I don't know. I don't think there were any serial killers at the prison I was at because you got people in there that killed like one or two people, but a serial killer, that's somebody that killed multiple people. For them people, they put them in like maximum security. You got different levels of prison. I was at medium security. So you got like the camps and stuff. And the lower you go, the more privileges you get. Like if you're at a camp, you're gonna get to go have a normal job. They let you go out of the jail to have a normal job. You could have somebody working at a gas station or a food restaurant that's in jail. He's at a camp. After they get done working, a bus picks them up and they go back to jail. So that happens. Then you got medium security where you're staying your ass in the compound, but you still get to go to classes and come out for rec and stuff like that. Then you got maximum security, basically. Um, oh yeah, and you get TVs and stuff and the lower ones. Now when you get to maximum security, I don't think you get TVs. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think you get like a radio or something. But as you go up higher, they take more stuff away from you. When you get all the way to the top to like a supermax, you're staying in your cell all day. You know, if you do have a job working in the kitchen or something like that documentary we seen from Red Onion the other day. Like if you got good behavior, they let you out of your cell to work in the kitchen 2 times a week. That's it. And anytime you're out of your cell, you're handcuffed. So anybody in prison, the goal is to go lower so you get more privileges so you can live like a normal person. The higher you go, you're living like a fucking like an animal. You made some very poor life decisions. It's the way you can look at it that way, but I'm telling you, I used to think so too. I used to sit there and think, I'm like, damn. I used to like tell God, I'd be like, damn, God, why'd you give me such a hard life? Why am I in jail? Why I gotta go through this shit when some people got it easy? But now, I look back on it and shit, and I think everything happens for a reason. Maybe I was, forced to, go through all that so I can go through them lessons. I done went through them lessons. Now, I'm hip to it, and now I can teach other people how not to make the same mistakes I did. You know, Works in mysterious ways. I ain't gonna lie, man. After you spend like 5, 6 years in prison, you're gonna be praying to somebody. I don't know if you're gonna be praying to God, but you're gonna be praying to somebody, ask him to get you the fuck out. And it makes sense, yo. Like, if I didn't go through the things I went through, I wouldn't be this person I am today. I wouldn't. So, we go through things. It works out in the end. I share my stories so other people don't have to make my same mistakes. Red Onion makes it impossible to ever better yourself. Yeah, you're sitting in a cell all freaking day, not doing nothing. Nothing. You're basically a waste of space. Oh yeah, I pity somebody that had a tooth problem and you're locked up. Oh my god, man. I remember my tooth was messed up and I was locked up and I was asking to see the dentist. I had to when they actually called me in to see the dentist, it was like 7 months later. I was mad as hell, man. I was like, my toothache and all that's been gone. The tooth fell out. But I had to go through like freaking like weeks of pain. And I mean pain. Hey, look, you go to the nurse and you're like, hey, I need something for my mouth. And like it's unbearable. You know what they're gonna give you? Here, take this Tylenol. Go lay down. Well, can I at least have two Tylenol? No, 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 no. Take one Tylenol and go lay down. You'll be all right. That's what they do. That's what they fucking do. Your arms cut off. You got stabbed in the eye. Can I please have something for pain? Here, take this Tylenol. Go lay down. That's what they're gonna give you. Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, if you ain't subscribed, subscribe. Um, one thing I want to make it clear we don't try to glorify prison over here at all. Like I did my prison time, and I try to share my prison experiences with others, so they don't have to go through it. Or somebody that's never been to prison. Prison life isn't cool, and I don't recommend anybody join the gang or anything like that. And yeah, that's where I stand with that. What was I came in here before, and I did want to ask this again. What was your experience with the Christian faith while you were locked up? Yeah, before prison, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with all y'all. Before, I never want to come on here and be like that person that tries to like shove faith down somebody's throat. That I don't want to be like that person. But I am gonna tell you, I was reading the Bible and stuff in there, and I will tell you, it gave me hope. I started going to some of the prayer circles and all that where we talked about, becoming better and stuff like that. That's what I did, It made me a better person, you know. I think anybody, a little bit of faith can make anybody a better person, be honest with you. Cuz I mean, if you really look at it, like this is the way I thought about it. I never been like that my whole life growing up. I've been a Christian my whole life, but I never really been heavy into it until I got locked up. And I'm like, damn, if we do everything that this book tells us to do, like that's the definition of becoming a fucking amazing person. Like, you treat somebody how you want to be treated and all that. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not gonna be that person. I used to be one of the people that be like, "Oh, you're on that church stuff," because church ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you really sit down and you're like, "Fuck what everybody else thinks," I'm gonna learn this for myself. You'll come to find out that it does teach you some good goals, and it tries to make you a better person. A haunted prison stories? I didn't really have no haunted prison stories. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted there to be one so bad. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted there to be a haunted prison story. I remember some. You're gonna think I don't think I was ever gonna tell this story. I don't think I should tell it. But I remember I was locked up for a long time in a cell by myself. I did like 7 months while I was in jail, and I was in the cell because I couldn't go to any pod because I got into a fight with somebody, and they put my name down on everybody's enemy list. I couldn't go to any pod. They did that out of spite. But being in a cell by yourself all day, every day, it kind of drives you crazy. So I would wake up and I'll go to the cell door, and I'd just be talking to myself. I'd be like, "Damn, what are we gonna do today? Dang, what the hell is he doing down there?" And there ain't nobody in the room with me. I'm just saying this out loud. I still do it to this day. I'll talk. There could be people in the room. I'm still talking to myself. You know, it just happens. But I remember I used to be in the cell, and at nighttime, I'd be like, shit, I wonder if ghosts are real. I wonder if anybody's died in this cell. And I'll be sitting there trying to communicate with the fucking ghost. I'm like, yo, if a ghost in here, say something. Come on, I need something to do. Like, do something. This is your chance. You got somebody that's not gonna be afraid. Show me something. And then when I finally got a cell buddy, I started talking about ghost shit with him, and he tried to tell me some wild ass shit, man. I had a cellie that told me that he was a witch doctor. I don't even know, man. He started pulling out all these like the stars and shit. He started pulling out all of this shit, and like he was telling me some astral stuff. It was wild. I don't know if it was real or not, but anyways, I was in a room with this one guy, this white guy. His name was Jared. Yeah, Jared. We was talking about ghost stories all night and shit. He tried to tell me. I think he made this shit up. He tried to tell me. He was like, "Man, I'm gonna tell you some serious shit, and you can't tell anybody." I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Oh shit, he about to tell me something real." So I'm listening to him, and he's like, "Man, ever since I was 5 years old, there's been this shadowy figure following me around." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "The fuck? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, I see it every once in a while, and it just be following me around." So I'm sitting there, I'm wanting to listen to it because there ain't nothing else to do. And it seems interesting what he's talking about. And he starts telling me about, he's like, go to the cell door right now and look out of it and look into the showers and tell me what you see. So I get up and I walk all the way over there and I look out the cell door
and it's all dark out there. They don't turn the lights off because it's nighttime. I'm like, I don't see anything. It's dark in the shower. She's like, no. When I go to the showers, when I go to the door and I look out of it, I see him. He's staring at me. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? So you can see him, but I can't? He's like, yeah, I seen him my whole life. But I think he was just fucking with me. Be honest with you. I think he was just talking shit. I'll tell you something scary that happened though, but it wasn't about no ghost. My friend, he moved into the cell with this guy named Juice. He was a bald headed black dude. He's big as shit. He's about like 6'2". And he's got a bad reputation. Nobody wants to go in the cell with him for some reason. Anybody that goes in the cell with him, they want to get out. So my homie, he goes in the cell with him, and after a couple of days, he starts acting weird and shit. And when it's rec time and I go out there and talk to him, he's talking to me. He's like, "Man, I got to move the fuck out of there, man." I'm like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Man, he's acting weird, man." I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "When I got in there, I was, we were chilling, we were talking, and he just turned and looked at me, and he was like, I always wanted you to move in the cell with me, because while you was in the shower, I was watching you, I was staring at you." I said, "What?" He said that. He said, "Yeah, I think he was fucking coming on to me." I was like, man, you better get the fuck out of there, man. But yeah, things don't happen like automatically in there. Like if you go to the CO and tell him, hey, I don't like my celly. I want to move out. Take me somewhere else. Sometimes, it might take a while. It might take like 4 or 5 days before they actually move you out. Nothing happens on your time. In prison, you're on somebody else's time. That's why you gotta learn patience. And now, if you're in a room with somebody that you think that wants to, clap them cheeks, now you stuck in there. Like, a couple of days after that, he wasn't the same when he came out there. I don't know what the fuck they were in there doing or whatever, but he definitely wasn't the same. You could tell he like the way he carried himself. He just had his head down. He didn't have a smile on his face no more, nothing. So, stuff like that really does happen. It really does. You got men in there that, you know, that ain't been with a woman in years. So like you imagine somebody that ain't been with a woman in years and they know they ain't got no woman to look forward to, man, they don't give a fuck where they're gonna get it from. And if sometimes you ain't gonna give it up, they try to get it. Like, but that I don't like talking about that kind of stuff, but it does happen in there. It really does. There was this one guy in it, like he was a bandit. Like, the COs even they told me one day, they were like, every person that moves into his cell, because at the time, this one guy I'm talking about, he looked crazy. You can look at him, you can tell he was crazy. He had a big afro and he had patches in his afro. He had a big beard. Man, he just looked crazy. And he was in a cell by himself. And no, he was behind the door. He wasn't allowed to come out with anybody else. And the CO told me one day, they were like, yeah, he don't we ain't allowed to put anybody in his cell because he tries to take their cheeks. Like he will physically try to take their cheeks. And I was like, for real? What somebody can you name somebody that went in this cell that he did that to? And they told me I had this young boy in there, right? And I forgot the young boy's name, but he went to the cell with him, and the young boy had bruises all over him. So that's when they put him behind the door. He wasn't allowed to be in there with somebody. He's basically trying to take the young dude's cheeks. He didn't get to, you know. And every time I asked the young guy about it, he didn't want to talk about it. And it's crazy because the young person I'm talking about, me and him, we became friends because he got a lot of tattoos and he had tattoos over his hand and stuff. And he does tattoos, I do tattoos, and I was talking to him. And I found out later on that he actually got out and he overdosed and died. So that was sad because he was only like 21. He was young, man. And he was one of them guys, one of them young dudes that you look at and you can tell looks young. He looks young. You see some people like 21, they look like they're about 30. They got the full beard, they're all big and stuff. No, this kid, he was skinny. He looked like a teenager.
He was like 22, 21, but he looked like he was like fucking like 16. He was skinny, and, he looked like that. And just knowing that he got out and died from Fetty, that it sucks, man, because he had his whole life ahead of him. He had a kid and everything. That's why I don't really like the Fetty and the stuff like that. I hated it, man, because it's not like how we used to grow up. Back in the days, how like we can make mistakes and like you can dabble into stuff. You like one night you can do something. You know what I'm saying, and not worry about dying. Now they putting it in everything. They're doing it to make it things stronger. I'm gonna tell y'all a true story. I was in a cell with a guy from Baltimore City, and in Baltimore City, they're known for for the drug trade. Matter of fact, what's that show that's they got a show on HBO, The Wire? That's that's Baltimore. The Wire is that's Baltimore. That's how it is. But anyways, he told me what they do down there. He said when they're selling drugs, they'll have like a house and they'll be selling drugs out the window or something, and there'll be a line of people, just a line around the house, people waiting in line to get some of these caps. He told me sometimes when they get a whole bunch of caps, they'll take 3 caps out of the package and they'll put rat poison in them and mix them up. And then 3 people are gonna die from that from that right there. That's what they want. Because to everybody else, it doesn't make sense when you think about it. Because you're like, damn, why they want to kill their own clientele? But if you really think about it, everybody else that hears about that, oh shit, yo, OD'd from that shit. It must be good. It must be really strong. That's how they're looking at it. They're looking at it like, damn, that shit must be really, really good. They just couldn't handle it. They don't know that they put rat poison in there. Yeah. They put it in 3 caps. That's what the dude told me. And when them people die from it, everybody else that does the drug, they're like, oh shit, I need some of that. That shit must be really, really strong. They're all hyped up to get it because they think they can handle it. Because you get to a point when you're doing drugs like that, you get to a point where it's harder and harder to get that same high. You know what I'm saying? Because your body's getting used to the drug. So they do more and more and more and more until it gets to a point where their body can't handle it anymore. Yeah, it gets crazy, man. I feel so bad for people like that because like they can't stop on their own. Cause I know how it is to go through withdrawals. I got into a car accident and I used to be hooked on Percocets, the pain pills. Man, I'm telling you, if I woke up in the morning and I didn't have one of those fucking pain pills, I didn't want to go to work. I remember this is how bad I didn't want to go to work. I knew if I didn't go to work, I was gonna get fired. So you know what I did? I went into my refrigerator and I had like some fucking applesauce. I put Kool-Aid in the applesauce, mixed it up, and I got my girlfriend to drive me to my work area. I went to my boss and I said, "Hey, I gotta use the bathroom real quick." I went in there and I threw the applesauce mixed in with the Kool-Aid all over the walls. And then I went out there and I pretended to be sick. And I was like, I just threw up everywhere in there. I can't be here, man. I did that just because I was sick off of fucking pain pills. I'm not even joking with you. Like it was that bad. Like I was an asshole. I didn't want to be around anybody. And I wasn't going to stop. I really wasn't. But going to jail, it forced me to stop. That's why I say, jail will slow you down. It will slow people down. Do they play high stakes Texas Golden Poker and Max? Are you talking about like maximum prison? Texas Hold'em. Wait, in prison? Or are you talking to somebody else? Hey, I like Texas Hold'em. That's my favorite card game is Blackjack. Or no, 21. Yeah, 21. That's the game right there that you have the most odds of winning, I think. Yeah, but I've been in this live for about 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, guys. I thank y'all for coming, and I'm gonna try to get another interview or something. Oh yeah, they play poker in prison. They definitely play. If that's what you're talking about, play spades, all that. Yeah, but if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I usually go live 6 o'clock every day Eastern time. I usually do interviews, and sometimes I just come on and we just kick it with y'all like this. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming today. I might come on later. I don't know. But yeah, thank you. If you sub, thank you. And welcome to the fucking welcome to the family. I don't know why I cussed there, but welcome to the family. I got so excited. It slipped out a little bit. I don't know. I hope you get out soon. Oh, are you telling me I'm not in prison? I hope you're talking to somebody else. This is a house. This is a basement to a house. I'm not in prison. All right, man. Yeah, welcome to the family. Welcome to the C Pod family. We a pod here. And we gonna see each other every day. We gonna learn from our mistakes and try to make the world a better place. But thank y'all for coming. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Thank y'all for coming. I'll see you on the next live. Oh, make sure you like the video on your way out too. It helps. Please.